When talking about the lore of video games, we often focus on games that have their lore pretty written out. Think for example Skyrim or Witcher, where you can find books, you can find notes, you can find diary pieces, just stuff detailing the world around you and the creatures as well as people that live within it. Well, one game that isn't exactly like that is for example a cult classic released by Valve as a part of the Orange Box, Portal. Now I am pretty sure we all know this game, but just for those 5 of you who don't, Portal is a first-person platforming puzzle game where Chell, the main protagonist, uses a portal gun to outsmart GLaDOS, the main antagonist in the form of AI, and escape a testing facility where she's being tested for all kinds of abilities. Now, like I already mentioned, this isn't a game where the lore is discussed, at least not so often, because a lot of it is very much hidden and not directly related to the player. Well, today I'm going to see if I can change at least a little bit of that, as I'm going to be taking a look at GLaDOS, the main antagonist in, well, a big chunk of the first Portal and also a solid part of Portal 2. I'm going to take a look at all the lore we know about this robot, all her characteristics, all the history about her, and all her activities during her time in Aperture. Anyways, grab your portal gun, put your long full boots on, and let's go. So to start us off, GLaDOS is actually an anagram for Genetic Lifeform and Disk Operating System, which acts as the central core which pretty much controls the entirety of the facility that our main protagonist is located in during the events of Portal 1 and 2. This facility, namely being the Aperture Science Computer Aided Enrichment Center. Now, as far as her abilities in the game go, as I've already mentioned, being able to at any point relocate entire rooms in the facility, monitoring everything as she goes on. However, there are clearly limitations to this power, as for example, when Wheatley later takes her position, there are places within the facility where even he cannot track you. Originally, GLaDOS was created by Aperture Science as a personality core that was designed to act as the central computing machine for the facility. This project was led by none other than Cave Johnson, in an attempt to, as the company defined it, create a fully functional advanced artificial intelligence, and it was originally supposed to be occupied by Johnson, but unfortunately, he soon realized that his sickness, which was due to poisoning from moondust, was too severe for him to eventually fill this position, and so he selected his companion Caroline to be essentially the occupant of this intelligence herself. The original activation of GLaDOS first appeared in 1998 as one part of the Bring Your Daughter to Work Day, but unfortunately, as soon as she got her access to most of the facility's features, she kinda began killing everyone present in the facility at that time. In fact, only 2 survivors from the catastrophe ended up emerging, one being Doug, the person whose scribblings and writings you can find along walls in Portal 2 and 1, and also Chell, who is, of course, the main protagonist for both games. Now, if you're wondering why a massacre like this wasn't investigated by other outside forces, well, that's because this occurred only 2 days prior to the invasion of Earth that took place in Black Mesa, a rival company. And, you know, a world invasion does usually take the eyes of public from a smaller side kind of massacre, which is one of the reasons why Aperture's fate was never really investigated or discovered. Now, if we're talking about her actions throughout the Portal games, there are, I guess, 3 main time frames we can latch onto. Number 1 being, of course, her actions during Portal 1, where she mostly just uses Chell as a test subject, at the end of which she attempts to kill her, but is instead dispatched by Chell by having her personality cores removed, and is effectively decommissioned, at least for the upcoming time. An important thing of note here is that at the end of Portal 1, GLaDOS has her personality cores removed, which very much limit her emotional ranges and how much she's able to act within the facility, which also leads to eventually in Portal 2, her realizing that you were her friend all along, and that you're not actually enemies, and, you know, in the end, spoiler alert, letting you go. If you're interested in what happens after you leave the Portal Center, well, we leap into something called the Cooperative Testing Era, which pretty much takes place during the game's co-op mode with Atlas and Peabody, the robots that she's been developing in an attempt to find other test subjects compared to humans, as they are pretty easy to kill. And so after Chell escapes the facility, she simply goes on testing with them for a undisclosed period of time. And after that, yes, it technically goes into the perpetual testing era, which is simply the point where you can replay different chambers to try for better times, etc, etc. But this is not exactly lore related, so I'm just gonna stay away from it. Now finally, to top this video off, just a few interesting facts. Even though technically GLaDOS is a robot and should remain genderless, most people associate her with her or she pronouns because that's how Wheatley refers to her all throughout Portal 2, and also she does have a female voice, which leads you to believe that she's actually female. The voice for GLaDOS, Ellen McLean, if you've watched my Team Fortress 2 lore video would know, is actually also the voice of the administrator and, surprisingly enough, also the Combine Overwatch in the Half-Life series. And finally, during the playtesting of Portal 2, even though this is not technically lore but still interesting, most of the playtesters were uncomfortable with how vicious and dark GLaDOS has turned, so a lot of her dialogue had to actually be tweaked and toned down for the final release to not seem quite so destructive and make players uncomfortable. Anyways, that is all the interesting points on GLaDOS that I thought I'd mention. If you guys have anything else that I forgot, or that you think or theorize about, please make sure to leave that down in the comments below. If you guys enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like, commenting, or subscribing. All of those would be very much appreciated. I wish you guys a beautiful rest of the day, and I'm gonna see you all in whatever next video I make. Bye bye.